So now that we got all that, listen, let's talk about this album, this project, because from the door, I saw it, I was upright confused. And it was not what I thought. Because you know what? Let me tell you, let me be honest. I'm very prejudiced. I am. I don't really care if you like it or not. Human nature is very prejudiced. Because we'll say, I don't think I'm going to like that. Or I think I may like that. Or you look mean, but the person may not be mean or something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm very prejudiced. And the one thing that hit me is that when I saw the album cover, I was like, okay, this dude right here is eccentric as hell. He's not somebody who's going to see the immediate. He sees something bigger, larger than life. Yeah. And I saw that with the album cover because the album cover is a little man with flowers, a do-rag and a sunflower, and some sneakers jumping over on the moon with spaceships and clouds. But the clouds were the shape of play buttons. Mm-hmm. What did the album cover? Who designed the album cover? What did you want people to see on there?
My boy Chaz, shout out to him. He did a magnificent job on that cover. What I wanted people to see was just my imagination of this album, of like what the thoughts that was going through my head in the album, you know. And it was like, because I also did a nice photo shoot for it. Mm-hmm. And after I did the photo shoot, I was like, all right, so everybody sees where I'm going with it, but I want to be able to show people in a vision, like to just tap into my brain and what I'm thinking about. Mm-hmm. So that art cover itself was just a picture that was in my head, and Chaz brought it to reality, and that's the amazing part about that cover. And that's the best artwork I've ever received, yo. For real.
Making art into reality is the hardest part of expression. Mm-hmm. Because you are, Mr. Producer, you know this, you'll hear sounds, mm-hmm. and then it's hard to find that sound to duplicate it when you make a beat.
Sound like, yeah.
So like there's times when I did music, I'm not gonna say I was dope, I was regular, you know what I'm saying? I just did it because I love the people I was around. I wanted to be a part of their cipher, you know what I'm saying? And there's times I'm like, yo, y'all doing an album? I want to do an album, what's up? You know what I'm saying? And when it came to time to do the album, what I noticed was a lot of the ideas I had in my head, I really couldn't get it out. Because me as an MC or rapper to be or something, I wanted to be somebody who was intellectual, thoughtful, but not bar heavy. I wanted I like the Chic Luch Ice Cube style. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the people out there that could be Nas and Jay. So it really, until you get into it, you don't really understand the game. Mm-hmm. When listening to your album, I'm not even go to my favorite track right now. Let's talk about Out All Night track, Up All Night.
All Through the Night.
All Through the Night, because my thing just went down. Mm-hmm. So All Through the Night was just you going, and I'm like,
Starlight.
Starlight's
my man.
Yeah, it is. You're just going. I'm like, okay. So it's not about him really being bar heavy. He's instructing. You're an instructor. Mm-hmm. So you're not telling people, listen to me. You're telling people, I got some shit to say, so you better stay or you're gonna miss something. Mm-hmm. Why is that delivery so important in your music rather than be the person who's over exuberant barbarian who can go over somebody's head?
Because to me it makes it easier to listen to. Okay. You know, and that also gives the people, well, actually I should say for myself really, mm-hmm. It shows like who's listening and who's really not, you know, like who's the real hip hop fans and who's not. Like I want to point out the real from the fake, which is why I do that, you know what I'm saying?
But see, that's what got me confused because no, I can't even go there yet because that's my song. I can't even go there yet. I mean, when I look at this album list, right, mm-hmm. there's certain things on it that just make me go, wow, I didn't think about that. And then when I listen to other tracks of you on it, I'm like, wow, I can't pinpoint it, but the lyrics and the story being told are so overarching that sometimes you're missing the point of the message.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about, and this is a song I had to go back to and listen to, Hot Minute.
Oh, Hot Minute.
Because Hot Minute is very different.
Mm-hmm.
But the bar structure is just as aggressive, if not poignant.
Yeah. Hot Minute was something that it was really something that was just put together very quick.
Oh.
Like, really. Because it started off as just me just freestyling,
Mm-hmm.
really, and majority of it really is just freestyling. And I'm quick to forget my freestyles or whatever, so I wrote it down.
Okay.
And I made sure I capitalized what I wanted to do. But it just comes from, overall, it's just like how I like to rap. Like, that's just really like how I like to rap. Like, I want to always keep a balance. Like, that's just my key point right there. It's just like having a balance where, like, because I don't want to be too preachy, but I also don't want to be too obnoxious either, but I don't want to be too I don't want to be boring either at the same time. So once I know that I what I want on that track, like, I put it down. That's just how I get down.
I respect that, because at the bottom line is, the bottom line is that you had to find your voice. Define your voice and how you put it together on a project rather than making a sing.
You have to just, like, what I do is, for an album, my perception on an album is way different than most artists, I feel like, today.
Talk about it.
Because what I did with my album was just make sure that everything was on the same string. You know what I'm saying? Like, I took influence from, like, how albums used to be back in the 90s and the 80s. Like with, like, Janet Jackson's Control album or New Edition's Heartbreak album. You know? Yeah, like, structured albums like that. Like, is what really made me want to make sure that everything was just on that same key and on that same tone. And it's about how serious you want it.
Nah, that's a dope point. Stop right there. Who's Otto Haze the single and who's Otto Haze the album? Because album mode is much different than single mode. And in today's climate of hip hop, everybody wants to drop a hot song instead of a complete project.
Right.
So how do you define it? How do you balance that?
I do that by just keeping as, like, I'll create a whole. What I like to do is create a whole story with an album.
True.
That's what it starts off with for me. I have to start off with having a full-on story, and knowing that it's like it's kind of hard at the same time, but it's like you got to know when to pick your battles. That's kind of like what it is, really. You got to know when to let it go, when it's just a single, and sometimes you got to just add certain songs to an album. Like, overall, it took me like almost 2 years to get this album completed. Almost over 2 years, and Juice has been out for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Juice has been out for quite some time, but then I knew that it was album worthy. You got to know when a certain song is album worthy. That's what that really boils down to.
See, narrative is the hardest part of hip hop, and since you're a 2000s baby, so as you said with the music,
I'm a 90s.
Okay, 90s baby, 2000s baby. Okay,
Yeah.
The little brother.
With the music?
You brought it up. You said 2000. They was giving us mystical. They was giving
With
us
the
this.
hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Well, we're talking about hip hop. So,
Yeah, word,
but the
yeah.
2000s gave us some of the most eloquent narratives ever made.
Yeah, very true.
Little brother, damn.
Little brother.
Are you very versed with the listening?
Mm-hmm.
Listening to
Yeah,
what?
the album.
What? His album?
No, Little Brother. The
Little Brother.
listening, the album. Have you ever heard it?
Oh no, I haven't heard the whole album.
Bruh, when I say Little Brother is the Tribe Called Quest of the 2000s,
Oh yeah.
that's what I mean.
They were.
When I say, you heard The Minstrel Show.
Yeah.
You heard The Minstrel Show?
What did they make? Little Brother.
I'm telling you, The Listening,
No, I haven't listened to
The Minstrel Show.
Okay.
This group, I don't want to give the group too much credit. I'm going to stay with you. But those conceptual albums is what made them the cult classic superheroes of hip hop to this day. That we're talking about, what was it, 10 years, 15 years later? They came out with an album 2 weeks ago, and the world was on fire because it was like they never stopped. And the concept was to go against the industry using the media against itself. So the listening was about making fun of radio. The minstrel show was about making fun of television. And if the group didn't break up, the third album was about how the movie industry makes fun of us, so we're gonna make fun of them back. So the listening, radio, are they really listening to the lyrics and what we're playing, or are they just bobbing their heads?
Right.
The minstrel show, television, it was on UBN, You Black Niggas Network. You know what I'm saying? And it was caricatures of what black folks are supposed to be on television and exposing it.
That's dope as hell.
So concepts is what made hip hop dope. If you want to go back to the 90s, Ready to Die, Life After Death, and unfortunately he died, and it was Born Again. Machiavelli, Into the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. What's another concept out? Yo, what was one of the dope concept albums that came? Oh, Return of the Boom Bap, KRS-One. A lot of the Marshall Mathers LP. A lot of albums that had concepts are the main defining moments that make hip hop great. To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yep.
Very concept.
Originally called To Pimp a Caterpillar, but you know they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? So when you paint a picture and you go into album mode and you're becoming the artist known as Otto Haze, not the rapper known as Otto Haze, you hit the genre in such a way that most people have to either see the picture by standing, looking, listening at the picture, or you're gonna be the portrait or the conceptual piece of art that people don't understand, shake their head and walk away. How do you define success as an artist when you make that type of art?
I find success by it's just by knowing that the people love it, and they show the love by exposing you just to everything that how people feel, really, like, you know. And I feel like all that really comes out when you put on a show for the people, and when you know how, damn, that's a really tough question, and I ain't gonna stop.
Welcome to Heritage Hip Hop.
Like, what does it mean to you? You know what I'm saying? Type shit. Like
something like that.
Like, what is making it is different to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody define making it as something different.
That's what it is.
Some people want to
really
be rich and famous. Some people want to build their people up. Some people want to elevate. Some people want to destroy shit.
Some people are assholes.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, how you define success is,
I find it through just loyalty through the fans, really.
that's dope.
Loyalty.
We'll stop it right there. That's dope.